When I first started putting this documentary together, I didn't know where to start. But then it slapped me in the face out of nowhere. Then I knew exactly where to start. And that's in Chicago, the legendary city of talent, the home of great legends like the Bulls, professional wrestler CM Punk, legendary drill rapper King Von, and the most notorious gangster in the city, Tommy Egan. With that being said, our journey begins here, at the infamous headquarters of NRS, or as I like to call it, the Command Center of Chaos, the birth of a legendary video game franchise. Take a walk with me and watch how NRS makes Mortal Kombat 12 and change the industry again, forever.
You punched my brain out of my face, man.
Period. Hit L2, R2. Sometimes you can make a sound and then you put it in the game and you're like, oh, this doesn't sound very good anymore. You got to hear the sounds in the game before you can really make a decision about whether it works or not.
So you make the punching sound, then you go in and you actually punch somebody.
Yeah, and that's what we're gonna make the sounds for.
Oh, nice. We're actually gonna make that right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is the hallway where we've got all the games and awards and stuff.
The Mortal Kombat
The belt.
champion belt, which has a sign up that says do not touch, so I'm not gonna touch it.
This is NetherRealm Studios in Chicago, and it's where Mortal Kombat gets made.
Through here, we've got the classic MKs.
Mortal Kombat 1, Mortal Kombat 2, Mortal Kombat 3, Mortal Kombat 4.
We came into the studio for a behind-the-scenes look at what goes into making the sound effects for Mortal Kombat. But we couldn't visit a room full of every Mortal Kombat arcade game without playing a couple rounds. The first game in the series came out in 1992, and it was groundbreakingly violent. It was so controversial that Congress held hearings that eventually inspired the creation of a rating system for video games. Part of what made Mortal Kombat uniquely gruesome was the sound design. And as the franchise has matured, so have the nauseating sound effects.
Nice.
Lucky.
I wanted to see the game's sound designers in action, so we headed over to the recording studio.
What is this?
This is like the murder layout here.
Wow. Okay, what do we have here?
Choose your weapon.
We have the hammer, the butcher knife. What is this?
We don't know. We call it the mystery object. Literally on all our files, it's called mystery object. But it's heavy.
Yeah, no, it's really heavy.
All I know is it's great for hitting things. How's that sound?
Sounding good.
So what are we working with first?
All right, so first we're gonna do walnuts. We got a couple nutcrackers. We got a couple other random things we can kind of smash and grind them with. We got Eric running the computer. He's gonna tell us how we're sounding and stuff. All right. So all this stuff sounds really small now, but when we take it into my office later and start messing with it, processing it, pitch shifting it, distorting it, like it's gonna sound a lot different than this. It's gonna be really cool.
Can I try one?
Yeah, go for it. You killed it, man. Do it again.
Let's try another one.
Nice.
Eh.
That was a nice one. You wanna move on to some different fruits and stuff?
That one right there was good.
Yeah,
that
was
one
a good
right
one,
there. Yeah.
We probably process these a little bit and we can use them for like stabs and for blood splishes. All right, so grapefruit. We're gonna get our spatula. We're gonna get maybe our mystery object. Make a little hole. All right, I think that one's pretty much spent.
Okay. I also couldn't help but notice that there was some bananas chilling up there. What are the bananas for?
So the bananas, like sometimes my goal is to like make the most disgusting sound possible, right? So like, yeah, so you're just like. Pretty gross, right?
All right, you can do it again?
No, you're gonna do it.
Bro, I'm good.
You good? Now that you've heard it, you're like, no, I'm not gonna do that. You don't have to do the vocal performance. Just chew it. Just chew it real close to the mic.
I'll give it a shot. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's gross. It's a gross sound.
Is that usable?
That's totally usable. Yeah, let's go listen to it.
No. Yeah, let's go listen to it. Let's do it.
Yeah, so now we're gonna take some of these sounds that we've been recording and process them. So I'm just gonna play some of this raw stuff. That was our nut crack, right? And now we'll kind of process it a little bit, make it sound larger than life. So we got that little tiny guy. Now we're getting somewhere, right? Like,
yes.
So that kind of sounds like an arm. Ooh, it's got that nice tigga-tigga-da-da, you know? It's like ka-chonk, you know, ka-chonk.
You're really enjoying this.
Yeah. So I would do this for like an hour or so, like, and find all the good stuff, and then kind of collect it together. You could play around with them, like, all at once. That's a pretty good one. So maybe we'll play this one. I think that would be great for the chest part of the crushing blow when he's like breaking his chest. So he kicks him in the chest, right? We go to this close-up. We see the like little, I call them wavy guts. We can take a small like nut crack sound and add a lot more crazy processing to it. So now we're gonna kind of like put it all together to support like this crushing blow. And then I'm gonna add in like a bass drop because it's slow-mo, right? So we need,
gotta have a bass drop.
We're gonna have our bass drop in there.
Oh, that is rough.
We could try putting some of that banana stuff as a layer in the vomit moment. So here's our banana sounds. Like, that's kind of gross. That's you.
Wow.
That's kind of cool. A lot of the stuff that we recorded, like the bell peppers and the banana, we could totally use in as layers for this stuff. That's our new stuff that we just recorded.
That kind of looks perfect. Oh, this is the grapefruit sound here.
Yeah.
So you're thinking of that for the blood?
Yeah.
That is intense.
Yeah, that's intense. This is a finished one. Yeah, that's the.
Okay.
So the stuff we recorded can be used for this for sure.
Looking at disgusting footage and making equally disgusting sounds to go along with it might sound fun or terrible, depending on how squeamish you are. But it's a serious craft, and it's making Warner Brothers a ton of money. Mortal Kombat 11 was the best-selling game so far this year.
On average, it takes like a day to 2 days to do the sound for one fatality. It's a lot of work that goes into making the sounds for like one character, let alone the whole cast of the whole game.
You're busy.
Yeah, busy, but it's fun work. You can see, like, this is all real fun stuff, you know?
We're going to start by taking a quick 2-minute tour of Earthrealm Studios just to sum it up, and then we're going to go back and explore everything in detail. What you see here is Goro's lair. All of their games, all of their creations, and it's in this one room, arcade related. This right here is where all of the mocap goes down, the story mode, and everything else you can imagine to make the legendary Mortal Kombat 12, 11, and X, 9, and etc. video games. Now, this right here is their action figure collection wall. All of their most prized possessions are here, from awards to special editions to every logo, every outfit, every partnership. You can see DC on the wall. Mortal Kombat versus DC was a good game, and as you can see here, my personal favorite, Goro's animatronic head, along with this other Goro piece right here. And yes, don't scratch your head, you did hear me say MK versus DC was a great game. I love that poster, and we'll be getting it soon. Now, this right here is basically like a hall of fame where you can check out all of the fantastic stuff they've done. They did a really good job at putting this together. You can see this is Cabal's original head that you just saw, and these are all of the classic games that made this franchise one of the most legendary franchises on the planet. Every piece. Look at this right here. The art of Mortal Kombat is just fantastic. It's some of these pieces you gotta have, from the Super Nintendo, Sega Genesis, every toy, every brand, every push. Now what you see here, this is an off-site location where they have a room to invite people to test games like Mortal Kombat X, Mortal Kombat 11, and things of that nature. But now we're gonna go ahead and get into the nitty-gritty. I'm gonna let them take it away and show you exactly how they make their fatalities.
So we're gonna show this. So of course the start.
This is the start. We kind of wanted to maintain the pose from the original one that we're making an homage to.
A real low bend.
A real low.
Getting in.
Then of course the first punch. As you see, the storyboards are pretty basic. We didn't flesh everything in quite yet.
Yeah, these aren't for like beauty. They're to show people who are making them what it's supposed to do.
But
it's the basics.
When we're iterating on ideas, it's super cool to see. This is the second level of, first someone's just talking about it,
right,
and then Tony kind of gives us you're starting to visualize how to look before it gets to the cinematic aspect.
And just like any brainstorming session, like somebody will have to throw something out, and that idea gets better, and that idea gets better, and that idea gets better. So like to say that like, you know, this is all me just doesn't exist.
There is almost no fatality that I've ever seen where one person just has an idea and it gets in the game. It's usually, well, this character's never done this before, wouldn't it be neat if? And then someone says, and they could do it this way, and then someone says, it'd be even better this way, and then like one idea will mutate into drastically different ideas.
Yeah, definitely.
We got the next screen. This is the third part.
This is the third one. This is kind of where the blooper reel bit starts to ramp up. So cuts yelled from off screen, and then we go to, you know, the typical director cinema clappable things.
Yep.
Slate.
The slate.
Oh.
The slate.
There we go. There we go, Burke.
Yeah, and then it just goes on from there, and then reset to the punch. So it looks very similar, but the jaw is gone. Then we concept the head's flopping back, if you could tell by the way.
Yeah. Right. In case you don't know, head flops back.
Head flops back. Head flops forward. Cut. Johnny's not too happy about it.
I always love how the victim in these is always just kind of happy looking.
Right. He's got those big eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not mad.
No, he's not. He's fine. Cut again. Then reset to like the final finisher shot.
Johnny's even in his
stuff
storyboard, still wearing sunglasses.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You're not cool unless you have sunglasses.
Truth.
And then the end frame.
With the middle finger.
With the middle finger.
And a random, bald, buggy-eyed character.
And this fatality is a great example of the iteration of an idea, where the initial idea was, let's do a tribute to the triple head glitch from MK1, and then it was at MK2.
Right.
Then it was, oh, maybe the heads will keep falling back.
Right.
Then someone's like, what if if we're gonna break the fourth wall, let's own it.
Right.
And then what if we had the clap, the slate, and then it just keeps going and going until it just becomes the absurdity that was the final thing.
If you're Mortal Kombat and you're going to break the fourth wall, you destroy the fourth wall.
Yeah.
Yes.
Let it
You throw a head at it.
Yes, and break the fourth wall.
And Johnny Cage is a character where you can do that, where it's pretty much all off limits.
Yeah. We get to have a lot of fun with him because he's so silly and crazy, and he's not serious at all like a lot of the other characters. So
He's our comic relief.
He's the comic relief, but I like to think we don't overplay it.
Awesome. So then after that's done, then we start What's next?
Then we go to mocap. We go into the shoot. We kind of advise the mocap actors what we want, what we're looking for, and then we take and send those over to the animators. The animators clean up the mocap, and then they send it to me to kind of do the camera editing and cinematography of it.
Okay. Do we want to show the next thing?
Yeah, and then we go to a first rough draft. I think this one's actually been edit locked, but it iterates on the way. The temp audio is actually me and Steven from the audio department.
Steven Shatner?
Yep.
My boy.
Yep.
Cut. Reset.
Johnny's fatality. Take 2.
Cut.
Take 11.
Everyone, take 5.
Tongue is awesome.
The tongue is amazing.
Yes.
So then that's the next step.
That's the next step.
And then we're finished.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's done. That's
you
all
just
it
press
looks
the
like.
finish button,
Yeah.
and it's done.
Yeah, that's it. No, then I take it into our Unreal tool, which we set up everything on, and then I set it up, send it to effects. Effects gets their ball rolling, lighting, audio, all have their hands in it, and then it goes to QA, so it goes to Steve.
And that goes to a jobber like me, spending all day doing one fatality in every corner against every victim, on every skin, in every part of the stage, over and over and over again, because, for example, you rip their head off and Johnny Cage's sunglasses are still floating there. Or you rip their torso off and Kano's knives are still sitting there.
Right.
And then that goes back to you guys, who
Yep.
then fix those, and then we do that for a while.
So from start to finish, like, you obviously we're working on a bunch of them at the same time.
Yes.
So any sort of timeline there?
It's around between 6 and 9 months, depending on the fatality and complexity.
And some things you'll get paused for another one to work. We got this done now. Let's move to this. That
Yeah,
sort of thing.
it's like an assembly line. We're just like, I take it, I move it along. I take it, I move it along.
Right.
Yeah.
And everyone, and again, just like everything in the studio, everyone sort of touches it at some point.
Yeah, it's actually kind of great. It's like a big collaborative project.
Yeah, one of the coolest things about this process for the cinematics and fatalities and crushing blows and everything is seeing the initial idea and you're hype. I can't wait to see it. Then you see the storyboard, and it's even cooler. Then you see, I will literally check on those early animations almost every week to see what's going on, and it's getting there. And then audio makes such a huge difference. The groaning, the blood, all that stuff, and the cinematography of it. You could just, if you just say someone gets their head cut off, it's like, well, I've seen that for 30 years, but the cinematography of it makes a huge difference.
Yeah,
and
it's definitely evolved from
Oh, yeah.
day one to now. Like we really study and like try and focus on enhancing our cinematic abilities.
And I mean, the dismemberment tech, the different special effects for particles, for scorpions, the fire, the blood looks amazing. It is literally like 5 different types of groups of artists, and then it all comes together at the end and looks amazing. Yep.
As you can tell from this conversation, that making a Mortal Kombat character is not easy. It's no easy task. It takes a village. And that's usually what happens for the games that we get. It takes a village to build it. We end up getting the fantastic characters that we get. But now hopefully you understand why some characters work the way that they work, and why the characters in Mortal Kombat 11 has such little to no movesets, because they just didn't have enough time to get everything done. Now I'm showing you this process so you can understand how Mortal Kombat 12 is currently being developed. You already saw how they make the fatalities. What I kind of want you guys to focus on next is I want to get you to focus on the facial recognition, meaning that everything that they do to get those facial expressions, those emotions, those type of things. So what they do is they use this camera. It's a helmet that they put on their head, and this helmet just basically take all types of videos of your face. It captures your facial expression, and also it can scan you into the game if that's something they decide to do. Now, this is a process that they use, but there's an alternative process too. So the first process that they use, as you can see here on your screen, this is a process right here where they have a person sit into a chair and a whole bunch of cameras just basically scan them. Now I will be showing NRS's version just in a little bit towards the end of this documentary, so you want to stay tuned for that also. But you can see here, this is a much cleaner version of what WWE uses. The majority of all companies, I would say, use a form of this to make sure that they get clear visuals of their characters, especially 2K.
It's good work, people. First round's on me tonight. This Boogie.
Dragon, coming left, heading home.
Gunrunner, coming left. Under copy. Around your section copy.
Let's show. We got one more thing to show about the facial, like being animated.
Oh, yeah.
We kind of do a thing about that.
Yeah, so after I get in the tool, Facial's another team that takes care of it. Andy Sinisek and Alex Bittner head fronting that. And they do a great job. And it's really actually funny to see in this clip you're going to see because it doesn't move. The body doesn't move. It's just the face.
Let's take a look at that clip.
Who hired this guy? What the fuck?
I think with every Mortal Kombat game that we start, we want to introduce something new, something different.
There's been some advances that have been made, like facial animations and just the quality of the art overall.
We're getting into environments and stuff that we weren't just able to do in the past at this level of fidelity.
One thing we want to do is freshen up the cadence of gameplay and stuff like that, and I think that's something that I think we really nailed with the new Crush and Blow feature. Kind of keeping these explosive, violent moments a little more random and a little more shocking to the player as you watch them.
Earthrealm is becoming known for attention to detail. Our characters are just incredibly realistic.
We have on all of our characters, we have scanned faces, we have fully detailed tiling material system on all of our materials for all of our characters. That holds up both in gameplay and both in our cinematic moments.
Kitana, Empress of the Dead.
MK11 picks up where MKX left off. Raiden had become Dark Race. It turns out he has disrupted the balance of good and evil in the universe that was desired by Kronika, a new character to the Mortal Kombat universe, who is the keeper of time and the architect of the destiny of the universe.
First boss female character in any Mortal Kombat game, so we're really excited about that.
Now that things have shifted irrevocably to the side of good, and so she has only one solution left, and that is to rewind time back to the beginning and restart it.
One of the interesting aspects of MK11's story with the time folding is that you get to see so many interesting interactions between young and old versions of themselves.
The thought of becoming you sickens me.
We really wanted to focus on customization this time around. There's this collection component of like you can collect all these different augments, you get to apply those things to gear, and you can use that to customize a ton of different gameplay stuff.
Now we're giving players the ability to create their own variations, so it's almost infinite number of variations.
As a player, you can get into the Towers of Time and you can start doing a lot of things. They're going to turn over, some are going to be hourly, some are going to be 6 hours, 8 hours a day, some of them a week because they're going to take you a long time to get through. There's going to be a lot of different things to do.
We really try to improve just the multiplayer experience. Players want to be matched up with somebody of comparable skill level.
Everyone's always making progress, right? If you're playing competitively online, win or lose, you're making progress towards something that's going to make you better, more effective, right?
You know, I think the biggest thing we always keep as a theme when we're starting with any of the games is the word fun. The first time you get the like enhanced versions of specials feels awesome to me. And I've been working this for like 15, 18 years in Mortal Kombat. That's still awesome to me when that happens.
This game has a ton of content. An absolute ton of content.
Okay, so I want you to pay close attention to your screen. You see this here? That's the big screen where they invite all of the actors in and they do whatever they need to do. Like the story mode, it's all filmed here. These cameras picks up every angle from it and they import it into the Unreal Engine, into their software, and turn it into an actual story mode process. This is where they filmed well, they filmed everything here, but the Mortal Kombat X helicopter scene, it was filmed right here. Now, when they need to bring in horses or motorcycles, they can do so by lifting that garage door that's to the left to bring in any vehicle that they need to help with the project that they're working on. This is super fantastic. For them to build this, they saving a lot of money. Now, if you look back there, you saw those chairs and stuff. That's where they use to analyze their work. Now, this right here is the sound section. This here is where they come in to drop their bars, their lines, and there's a screen where they can read their lines for the character off and be able to see what the person, or producer I should say, is showing them on the screen. They can just send it right on over and they don't have to keep walking in and walking out. They can just read what's there and communicate directly through the mic via headphones. Now, this is a sound booth. When they come out, they're in here. All the audio gets played back to make sure the motion caps, everything matches up. So everything is broken down into 5 sectors. Now, this part right here is the cameras that they use to scan their face and their facial expressions is what they use. Now, NRS does it a little different. They have a helmet for that. So they do it different. They just scan their characters, their faces. Now, this here is the off-site location I showed you earlier in that 2-minute clip about MKX. Well, this is MK11. So NRS do have an off-site location where they load the YouTubers onto a bus and take them there for reveals. Now, this right here, of course, is the motion caption section. Shout out the mocap, where they interact all the moves. As you can see, a stage fatality is being done here. You just act it out, boom, smash the head, and hey, it ends up in the game. So that's basically what they do to make the Mortal Kombat game. This is what they're doing to work on Mortal Kombat 12 right now as we speak. And you can see this guy does a fantastic job with these fatalities. They all are professionals. They do a really, really good job putting this stuff together. And I'm not gonna lie, like I said, this looked fun as heck. Look how he falls forward or whatever the case is, and then boom. If he would have got out the way, he would have had a clean fall to the ground, but he was in the way and kind of messed it up, so they had to do that over. But nonetheless, it looks super duper fun. And just look at this. You gotta have some great acting skills. You get to have fun, let loose, and just kind of turn up. These guys is having a blast over there with Mortal Kombat, coming up with all of this stuff. Now imagine with all the rumors that we've gotten and leaks that we've gotten about Creative Fighter and all of that, they really gonna be able to show they behind off for some new moves and stuff. And I think that's gonna be fantastic. But as you can see here, it goes to several different departments. One that handles animation, lighting, effects, weapons, design, all types of stuff. So it, like they said in the video, it's really a collaborative situation where everybody got to work together in order to get it done. And this fatality right here was just disrespectful as hell, yo. I ain't even gonna lie. But the fact that they were able to put that together is just fantastic. It's beyond me. And this here is another part, learning this here. This is polygons. You got to learn polygons and how to make things work. Now, there was an issue with Reptile's fatality, but they found a way around it by attaching a targeting polygon on it to make this actual fatality work, because it just would not work the original way. So they found a way around it and everything. So being a video game designer, man, this is just, I guess, every kid's dream. I know it was mine at one point. And hey, like I said, it ain't never too late to, you know, do some things like this. Let me pass this question off to you guys in the comment section below. If I made a fighting game, would you actually buy it? That's the real question right there, because hey, doing these type of projects is fun as heck, man. Imagine being in a fighting game and being able to play as yourself. That would be super dope. But yeah, anyway, back on topic here. As you can see here, this is a lot of computer work that has to get done before it goes into the final version of what it needs to be put into, as well as specials and everything. With Kenshi stuff, it's a little harder because you gotta do all of this telekinesis stuff. So you got to specialize in certain things in order for it to happen that way. Some characters are easier to work on than others. That is facts. That's straight up facts. Now, I got another clip that I'm getting ready to put up here on your screen that I want you to pay close attention to. Also, we're going to continue that conversation with the NRS employees, and then once we're done with that conversation, we can move on to some other stuff and kind of keep this documentary going, because there's a lot for you guys here to learn, and I don't want you to miss not 1 second of it. So definitely stay tuned. If you need to go get something to drink, something to eat, pause the video, go get what you need, and come back. That right there is your opportunity. Now, if you look here, this right here, the different zones on the body where you gotta literally design broken one, a fixed one, and everything, especially for the x-rays, so you can be able to swap these things out and use them. They have to all be designed on these type of computers. And imagine being on these computers for hours, man. That can get really, really boring. Just that there. Nonetheless, let's take a peek inside the world of 2K. I want you to pay attention to what the creative director of this game says and the challenges that they face, which is what all game developers face, these challenges. So try not to pay attention to the WWE theme, but pay attention to the actual creators and listen to them talk about how motion capture and things of that nature are done, and then I'm gonna be right back with you afterwards.
One thing we wanted in the gameplay for WWE 2K15 was a new set of control to go along with the new pacing of the matches.
Bring in, any game, once there's a console transition, it can be difficult. The one thing that the designers really wanted to do was revolutionize and evolve this game.
One of the things that we realized is that the games to date had somewhat of an arcadey feel to them.
I've been playing and working on these games for a lot of years, Fundamentally, the characters may be different, but they all play the same. And that's one thing that's always stuck in my craw. But now, when it comes to the Xbox One and the PS4, those shackles are off.
So we started looking at things like pacing and flow and how does a match start? What's the middle feel like and what does the end feel like? So there's a really good buildup of momentum and excitement through the course of a match.
There's that moment in the beginning where they're testing each other out. They get into their chain wrestling, side headlock, cool transitions here and there to kind of gradually build the audience into the match before they start getting into their signature offense.
We switched to a more cinematic camera. It focuses in on the characters' faces. If Randy Orton's, the one putting the hold on him, you see that he's fighting for that extra little, twerk.
And I'm happy to say that we've finally been able to, implement that in this year's feature, and it just changed the game.
Oh, there it is! So as part of that, we rethought everything from animations, controls, how you interact with the people, how fatigue sets in. And to do that, a big part was actually shooting a lot of animation.
Working with visual concepts, we have been mocapping like crazy. Let me tell you, when I'm not in my office, I'm at the mocap studio getting all the latest moves, entrances. The motions we're getting are just simply amazing.
Wrestling video games aren't anything without animation data, and so we brought the game up to our own 2K mocap studio and have shot an immense amount of animation, over 6 times more animation than was shot in any previous year, and that's going to help us really kind of bring this new experience to life.
Oh! Seeing the way the game is coming together on next gen is really impressive, and as a fan of the series and as a fan of wrestling, we've really hit our stride with this game.
And as beautiful as this game looks, it's the gameplay that's going to keep them entertained and playing this game for months, years on end. All that hard work, the long hours, it's all worth it. Once it's out there on the shelves and the players get a chance to experience it for themselves. And that's what we're in this for. As a fan of wrestling, as a fan of the WWE, that's a feeling like no other. It really is.
Okay, so they blessed us with a lot of great information. I wanted to take and show this clip one more time so you can just kind of see how the face stuff worked, so you can kind of focus on this. And I'm gonna go ahead and pass it back over to the Earthrealm team, and I want them to I'm gonna let them kind of go into detail as to what it is they do and just kind of get down to the nitty gritty with you guys. And we're gonna touch on some sound, get this wrapped up and get you guys up out of here. But so far, this is the process that's being used to make Mortal Kombat 12. And it's just fantastic. And the fact that I'm even able to make this documentary for new Mortal Kombat fans or people who are casual fans that want to be hardcore fans, I appreciate you guys tuning into this. I do. But don't worry, that's not the end of the video. We're not there yet. But we are going to go ahead and continue the rest of the documentary. So yeah, let's get started. Let's get back to the documentary, I should say.
And Dominic, what was that process like on paper of either looking at a classic character and going, okay, what would they be doing 25 years later? And also bringing in a new character, where do they fit in the process?
Yeah, sure. With the returning characters, it's trying to make sure, again, we were talking about before, that it's a natural progression of where they were. So we look back at MK9, we look back at MKX, and say, okay, what is that next step and where do they play? And we were talking about Jackie and Jax a little bit earlier. Like, that was one of the things that we couldn't really get to explore because of where the narrative had to go in MKX was that relationship between the two of them. So it's like, okay, now we got another opportunity to take another bite at this. How can we deepen that? How can we show more of that father-daughter relationship between the two of them? With the new characters, what we try to do on the story side is when we know, okay, there's going to be X number of new characters, we have to figure out, based on the story needs, like who are they going to be aligned with? Are they going to be Team Raiden? Are they going to be Team Shao Kahn, Team Kronika? And then once we know that, coming up with a basic idea of, where do they come from? What is their relationship in terms of the plot to these characters? And then sort of creating this loose sketch about, who they're aligned with, what they're doing, what they're fighting for, and then let the rest of the team figure out how they want to design them both in terms of look and also the play, and just so that we have just this foundation from which everybody can spring on. And certainly where the new characters come in, the rest of the team has taken these in directions that we never contemplated when we were writing it, and they're that much better for it. I mean, they really turn out amazing.
And then, Shanna, for you, when you see the concept of a character like Kronika, and you go, what if we could do this in this cinematic? Does that kind of spark the imagination for your team when you see those first type of concepts or ideas coming from the writers or the art team?
Yeah, we definitely try and we really want to see the concept art or at least the character so we can kind of get ideas of what they do or what they can do in story or fatalities or anything like that. And it really helps kind of drive stuff that we do in game, like with magic, or if we want to implement a certain prop or something, is it feasible? Does it go with their character? Does it go with their look? And we go on and we alter from there. Yeah, the animation side, we hook up I'm sure you see the making of videos where it's like the headgear braces looking thing with the camera and a bright light in their face. And we put little dots on their face, and we have the mocap actors kind of basically lip sync what the voiceover actors have done. And then as they talk, it gets interpolated into a software, and it mimics those facial poses that they're making while they're talking to the ones that Steve was talking about as we do our scans. And it's not automatic. There's a lot of still hand keying and cleanup needed, but we get the bass phonemes and mouth flapping.
I can just imagine the notes in the room, like, okay, the next pose is you're being sawed in half, and action.
Yeah.
Make that face.
In a lot of ways, it's almost full circle. Like, back in MK1, 2, and 3, we would do something very similar. We obviously, they were 2D games, but we would go through agencies and pick out, that's perfect Sonya, perfect Katana, and bring them in and film them.
That's what caught everybody's eye way back in the day, seeing those renders of, is that a real person? And they're fighting in a pit, and those are spikes. Oh no, I mean, was a lot of fun, 20, 25, 26 years ago, but you guys continue to raise the bar. And Shanna, I want to jump into more the fatalities, one of the things that makes Mortal Kombat. And you have a number of slides to show us, so let's go ahead and break that down.
So, like all things, it starts with the storyboard. We do have a meeting, and we all talk. Derek's in the meetings with me, and we talk about ideas and things that are relatable to each character type and what we want them to do. Also, just sometimes we're like, what would be a cool way to slice somebody? How do we do that? So this is for Baraka's fatality, face off. This is the starting pose. Of course, he grabs the face.
Boards by Tony Godsky. This is the panel for the actual face grab. He had a lot of fun with it. The face comes off. Then he throws it. It splats on the ground. Baraka then grabs the face again. Digs in deep and pulls off his meat and skull, showing the brains and tongue, like in real life. Throws that away, pulls out his arm blade, stabs him in the head, and then is like, oh, this might taste good, and has a little chomp. And then from those, we take it to mocap. Oh, shit. Oh, I did a bad. I went too far, I'm sorry.
You saw nothing. You saw nothing.
Nothing. There was nothing.
Yeah, hold on, everybody. Hold on.
No
We're
one
gonna
told me
get
the
there.
clicker didn't have a stopper. I know, I botched it. Anyway, back to Baraka. So from here, we go to the animatic stage / we do the animatic and then we do the mocap where we capture the fighters, and then I take it into Motion Builder where I set up the cameras and shakes and edits and do the cinematography for it. I believe we have a video for that as well. It's very basic. It's just plain models, plain background, temp props. It's not as cool looking as the final product. No facial poses or anything. And then from there, after that gets edit locked and approved, I take it into the Unreal Engine where we set it up. It gets a lighting pass, an effects pass, and it becomes what it is in the final.
And that was such a huge hit at the reveal when everybody got to see that for the first time around the world. One, they were excited Baraka was back, but two, that the fatalities are even more creative and look incredible.
Yes, we have way too much fun with that.
How did you make those decisions, Steve, of art style, we want him to look this way, but still be recognizable as Noob Saibot? How did you make those decisions?
It's always a challenge, you know. Of course, you know, we mentioned the story guys, you know, Dominic really giving us, you know, definition of what the character is inside and out, and how he fits in the story. Then we do a ton of, you know, concepts, but we always want to push it. And this look, I am really proud of the character guys and our concept guys of really pushing the look, because, you know, he's not just a pure, you know, ninja black, you know, fully in black. There's silver elements and different material changes, and they really pushed it, and I love that new look. It's just bringing in the silver and making it look like he's going into, you know, the battle.
What meeting happened in order to design that fatality? Because when I saw that for the first time, I'm like, what does he do? I've never seen anything like, what is happening? That was my whole progress of watching that video. So Shanna, what was it like for your team to create something like that?
Well, that's the exact reaction we want. I think the idea was, what would be gross? Oh, hands and mouth. No one wants that. So we did it.
Yep, and that's how you make magic, folks.
Yep. Give the people what they don't want, but they do. So yeah, that one was one that definitely I think started with like a cut.
But I think, well, because we always listen to everybody in the studio, and we'll cast a net and say, hey, does anybody have any ideas? And one of our QA guys, Jim O'Leary, was like, hey, I've been thinking about this, guys. And we listened to it, and then we bounced it off the room. We brought it in, bounced it off the room, and then you have that, guys.
Like previous guest characters like Alien or Freddy, how do you kind of bring them into the universe, meld them into Mortal Kombat?
Well, there's a lot of variables involved in getting that. You know, there's you know, getting the rights to do it, getting you know, Mortal Kombat, as you know, is a really violent game, and so whoever lets us do put their character in the game is going to have their face ripped off by Baraka, obviously. So anybody who's willing to kind of go that route, that narrows it down. And then at that point, you know, it's amongst the team. A lot of people, you know, what do we want to see? We're, you know, children of movies that were in the 70s, 80s, 90s, and so it's just our influence, what we would be excited to work on. That's a big part of it.
Jason Voorhees is one of my favorite characters in MKX. It was so cool.
Next, using avatar footage, I'm about to show you how they develop story mode, get everybody to work together to create that amazing story mode that we got, and how they use animals and all types of stuff to include it in story mode. So sit back because this ride is not over. This is what it takes to make Mortal Kombat 12. Check it out.
So that's what Pandora actually looks like. James Cameron's Avatar is one of the most visually stunning films ever made. But what does it look like without all the CGI?
The animators have taken what the actors are doing and gone even beyond that.
Neytiri lives a pretty unique lifestyle as one of the Na'vi on the planet of Pandora. One of the things that we see Neytiri partake in is drinking water from a leaf. But because director James Cameron loves to rely on technology innovation, the way that the scene was actually filmed without CGI may surprise you. Zoe Saldana was required to work with a gray plastic contraption to model as the leaf, while holding a water bottle covered in duct tape to simulate water coming from the tape. We guess that's why they call it movie magic.
It's the most high-tech film in terms of its execution.
You may or may not have had an awkward kiss in your life, but it probably wasn't as awkward as it was for Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana when they had to kiss as Jake and Neytiri while filming Avatar. While in the movie itself, with all the added CGI, the scene plays out romantically. Without all the CGI, Worthington and Saldana had to kiss with their motion capture jumpsuits and with green dots all over their face, so that the motion capture on their characters' CGI bodies would be accurate and more real.
We created a manually operated gimbal rig that they could balance on.
One of the most exciting action scenes in all of Avatar was definitely the flying Banshee. Obviously, a lot of CGI was needed to be done to bring the Banshee to life, as there's no living, real-world counterpart to the creature. In order to capture Jake flying on the Banshee, Sam Worthington was required to fly on the back of a moving plastic structure, where he'd be flung around with wires, all while wearing the motion capture suit. Honestly, we think we'd just prefer the ride at Disney World that seems a bit more comfortable.
See them flying these things, they're working hard.
It's always intense whenever anybody in a movie yells, but when a blue-skinned alien like Neytiri yells, it's even more powerful. You will never be one of the people! Despite the goofy motion capture getup and the silly plastic Na'vi ears, Saldana was still able to be quite intimidating on set. Layers of additional CGI were added in order to make Neytiri and the rest of the Na'vi look even more real in the film. You definitely wouldn't want to tick Neytiri off.
I at least have no idea that I'm wearing this. I feel like I'm blue and I'm 9 feet tall.
The big villain of Avatar was Stephen Lang's Colonel Miles Quaritch, who, unlike a lot of the other characters who required CG, is actually a human. One might assume that the Colonel's mech suit design was all CGI, but they would be wrong. The main core design of the suit was a practical effect, but it was the arm and the digital screens that were later added with additional CGI work, in order to make the suit a more formidable force to the Na'vi. The final product proved to be quite the treat to the Na'vi, and made Lang's Colonel an even more memorable villain. With rumors that he'll be back for the sequel, he may even bring that mech suit back.
Oh yeah, who's bad? That's right.
One of the first dangerous creatures that Jake encounters in the jungles of Pandora is the fierce Thanator. While the Thanator is quite intimidating on screen, the creature wasn't much to look at before the CGI was added. In fact, before the CGI was added, standing in for the Thanator was a red tennis ball on a long gray stick held by a crew member. In order for the actors to go on cue, the crew member holding the Thanator's stand-in would lunge at them. Life on Pandora would likely be much easier if all the Na'vi had to worry about was a tennis ball on a stick. Cameron has a knack for working with actors and actresses he's worked with before, so of course, one of the actresses he brought with him to Avatar was his alien star, Sigourney Weaver. Weaver plays Grace in the film and doesn't just play the character in human form, but also as a Na'vi. While even in her Na'vi form, Grace typically wears human clothes. Behind the scenes, Weaver had to still wear a motion capture suit to convincingly play Grace's Na'vi avatar. From Alien to Ghostbusters, Sigourney Weaver has clearly made her mark in the sci-fi genre.
We had horses galloping around this place.
It wasn't just the human actors who were behind motion capture technology on the set of Avatar, as actual horses were used under motion capture technology for the dire horses. The horses were equipped with dots on their body, much like their human co-stars, in order for them to be transformed later with visual effects. The horses were brought to the soundstage of the film, and Cameron would film the actors behind the Na'vi riding the horses with the special technology that would allow him to be their CGI counterparts as they were filming. Who knows, maybe those horses went on to take other motion capture roles as well. Despite all the extensive CGI and motion capture present throughout Avatar, that didn't mean the actors had to perform less stunts. In fact, it was quite the opposite. Whenever we saw the Na'vi climbing up the vines of the ominous floating rocks on Pandora, Cameron had the actors behind the Na'vi climb a similar structure, all in their motion capture gear. The final CGI was added later, but still, that didn't make the climb not dangerous. Though you can't really become one of the Na'vi without at least getting a little bit rugged with yourself and your environment. Motion capture wasn't always available when capturing scenes with the Na'vi, especially when they shared the screen with the human characters. When recording the scene where Jake first wakes up in his Na'vi form, Cameron filmed the actors playing the human doctors working around an empty gurney. Behind the lens of Cameron's camera, he was able to see the CGI character.
We went to Kauai, we went way up in the mountains, and we acted out the scenes.
Before the motion capture work was done for Avatar, Sam Worthington and Zoe Saldana filmed without their suits, half naked in Hawaii. This would be done in order so James Cameron could know how to plan all their scenes that would need motion capture, such as the bow and arrow scene. The Tree of Voices is perhaps one of the most gorgeous looking set pieces in all of Avatar, but behind the scenes and without the CGI, that sacred tree wasn't much to look at. In fact, the trees were mainly just pieces of rope that were used to simulate the long leaves and branches of the trees that Neytiri would present to Jake. The final CGI would be added into the production later.
To say, these stunt guys, I mean, they gave us their all.
The Na'vi clearly have a different culture than what we're used to, and Cameron wanted to display some of the tribal customs of the main tribe in the film. The group of 4 actors may not have had the biggest roles in the film, but that didn't mean their work wasn't difficult. These actors ultimately had to memorize a tribal dance of the Na'vi in all their motion capture suits. Now that's true commitment to the craft.
If this was CG, I could have moved that in 30 seconds. So the whole time I was shooting the virtual camera, I was complaining that it wasn't live action.
While there were times on set where James Cameron and his crew had more accurate models of the Dragon assault ships, there were times where the models wouldn't be enough. In order to film the scene, Cameron had the motion capture board use a metal-like chair in the middle of the set that would be moved around by crew members. A fan was also placed in front of the actors in order to properly capture the wind blowing in their characters' faces. While the real set may not have been as exciting as actually flying on a ship as a Na'vi on Pandora, the cast and crew certainly made the most of it.
They develop the most lightweight 3D system possible, so it's a very sophisticated technology.
The 3D, much like the CGI, had to be recorded in a distinct way using 2 cameras. This scene where the Colonel is attacked on his mech by one of the Na'vi used 2 cameras to perfect the 3D and the CGI. One camera would be used for the live action elements, and the other would be used for the CG 3D elements.
I need you to put up $10 million to prove we can make this movie.
Avatar is one of the most influential films.
Let's do a quick recap of this documentary. So we learned how they add the sound into the game as far as the crushing blows, the blood, the spit, all of that type of stuff. We also got a tour of NetherRealm's studio, and you guys were able to see the actual voice record studio that they actually record in. And you got to see where they do their story mode with all of the red sensors on the wall. You just got to see everything, as well as how they make story mode and how they do motion capture and how they get animals in the building. So I'm excited. I was able to bring all of that information, to you. I had to use a lot of different things like WWE. I had to use Avatar. I had to use a couple of different clips so that way I can get the point across instead of just telling you. I'd rather show it to you visually, so I do want to say I had so much fun making this documentary. It was a little hard. I was having some technical issues, but hey, better late than never, right? We got this documentary out. So I want to pass a question off to you guys in the comment section below. Do you think I did a fantastic job on this documentary? If so, did you learn anything? What did you learn? Even if you already knew this stuff, did this documentary feel educational to you? Did this documentary, I said documentary, did this documentary feel educational to you? And would you like to see more documentaries like this? Is that something I should explore? Maybe looking into that on my vlog channel or something. If I do a vlog channel, what do you think of that? But yeah, this is the making of Mortal Kombat 12. These are all the current things that they're doing now to make sure that this game is complete. Now, I do have more videos coming up on Mortal Kombat 12. You're going to be excited to hear the majority of the news that you're going to hear coming about Mortal Kombat 12. Now, I'm going to go ahead and end this with a short gameplay clip. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. And until next time, I will see you wonderful people later. Enjoy this fighting clip.
Bitch.